What about biggest worry? What is your biggest fear during this playoffs?
My biggest fear is probably some of the stuff we stressed throughout the season with the turnovers and the lack of free throws. And whenever the Warriors play an opponent, that opponent seems to have more free throws. So I think some of the little things like that would be my biggest worry at the moment.
All right, this is what's going to give me nightmares, and this is what is going to keep me up at night. Not really. I don't have a problem falling asleep, but there's going to be a moment during this series. I'm almost sure of it. I hope it's fleeting, and I hope it's not very often, but I'm going to sit there, and I'm going to be, in my mind, this is Warriors playoff basketball. This is much different than the regular season. And then they're going to play like they did during the regular season, and I'm just going to go, they can't turn it on. Like this is what we've seen all season long. Like these wide open 3-pointers for the other team, and Draymond throwing the ball out of bounds, and Steph throwing left-handed hook passes that get intercepted. Like, what's going on? Like, that moment is going to happen, and it's going to lead to a Kings run. But I hope those moments are few and far between, and they can sort of, Kerr's going to call a timeout. Hey, settle down. We need to get back to what we do. Let's slow the game down a little bit. And but that, I'm going to catch myself. Maybe I'll even count for our next podcast. I'll count them. How many times I feel like, oh, they are who we thought they were. One of those moments, And so I also want to give them the benefit of the doubt, though, because they're the defending champions. I think everybody has looked to this moment to say, maybe regular season doesn't really matter as long as you get in. That's kind of what they were saying, when the Warriors were struggling. And if the Warriors prove that, at least in this round, then you're kind of like, okay, everybody was right. And that's what I hope as well, right? I hope that is the case. But so I'll count them before our next podcast, and I'll tell you how many this is who they are, who we thought they were moments that I have during a game or two.
Yeah, and if you look at last season too, all of the Steph goes down, then Steph comes back, Draymond goes, like that whole thing where no one was really healthy. They didn't really have cohesion going into the playoffs. And then they got really the best opponent they could have gotten in the first round to kind of like warm up to, being that Denver Nuggets team without, Jamal, without MPJ. It was just kind of Jokic and Aaron Gordon trying to do what they can. And it obviously just like didn't work. Not to say the Kings are the Denver Nuggets, because that would be insanely disrespectful to what they've done this season, being the 3 seed and the best offensive rating of all time. But I feel like if you did allow the Warriors to choose a team, maybe out of at least the top 6, I think if they were at least out of the top 6, I think they're going with the Kings. And I mean, what do you think? Do you think they go with the Clippers?
If you're telling me Paul George isn't playing, I think they go Clippers, but I think the Kings would be number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you ask them who they prefer, Draymond might say, bring on the Grizzlies right now. We're going to have to face them anyway. Let's just get this over with when we're healthy and not tired.
Yeah, I think that with Paul George healthy, I would go Kings. With Paul George unhealthy, yeah, that's a good case. I maybe go Clippers. I just feel like that Clippers team, even though I think I would favor the Warriors, they just make it tough. All those switchable wings, kind of like a Boston Light. I feel like they just
I hate watching Kawhi on the other team too. He's so hard to root against because he's so good and he just frustrates you and he has no emotion. He's not going to get into any arguments. He's not going to get into any fights. He's just going to play like a robot. But yeah, I think you're right.